Madam Speaker, I want to assure this Honourable House and my colleagues that I actually intend to speak for no more than 30 minutes beyond the 90 minutes that I have been allotted according to the standing orders of this House. Beyond. That's an assurance. Madam Speaker, in order for me to be able to stand before you to deliver my second contribution to an appropriation bill as a Minister of Government, the excellent people, the champion people of constituency number 3 had to repose their confidence in me as their parliamentary representative. For this, I must repeat, I am eternally grateful for this opportunity to serve you. So once again, to the people of Palmetto Point, Garvey's, Boyd's, Boyd's View, Abbott's, West Farm, West Haven, Mattingly Heights, Mattingly Farm, Beacon Heights, Ocean Gardens, Ocean Lawn, Hummingbird, Camps Estate, Amory Drive, Bayview, Crescent Hill, Duas, Olivies, Buckley's Park, Buckley's Development, Buckley's Extension, Buckley's Estate, Buckley's Site, Limekeel, Trafalgar, Fort Lands, Russell Village, Hainsmith Village, St. Johnson Village, Lagreet, Pleasant View, all of Shadwell, and all other communities and villages of West Bastia constituency number 3, thank you. The work has begun, and in 16 months of the 5-year term we have been granted, we are well on the way to fulfilling the commitments I have made to the constituency with the support of this incredible A-team. Madam Speaker, with your permission, I would like to look at some of those commitments made to my constituents in my manifesto that I would continue to pursue, and with the support I have from this administration. I see 2 beautiful young ladies in the audience. Wow.
3?
Well, 3, yes. I meant the little ones. Yes. The 2 princesses. I didn't want to say what I had in mind for the other one. We are told this is a G-rated community. But welcome to the House. Madam Speaker, in my hand I have the manifesto as I did last year, and I want to go through some of the commitments made leading up to the 2022 elections that this administration has already afforded me the opportunity to say that we have delivered or are delivering for the people of constituency number 3 and beyond, but in particular for the people of constituency number 3. First on the list under community development, construction of at least 200 new and affordable hurricane resilient and energy efficient homes. The member has gone outside, but that is already in train. The sample houses are being built right now, one in Connery and the other one in Taylors. Yep. West Bastia will get their lot. In fact, we may surpass this commitment of 200. Construction of roads in new and emerging housing developments. I'll speak about roads a little later on in my presentation. But just to highlight, I think tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken, the people of Limekeel should get the final phase of their resurfacing done. That is by the Antioch Baptist Church, the abattoir, right down to the Rivers Church. And then we head into St. Peter's. Increased water catchment to restore 24-hour availability of water. We're going to speak about water later on in the presentation. West Bastia clean. Well, the senator opposite, senator here, not opposite, Senator Dr. Joel Clark, has pursued the nationwide clean that involves the constituency clean. In fact, I believe that we are working on legislation to be able to deal with the abandoned lots, etc., as the commitment that was given. Yes, and right now the clean project is in Buckley's, so I'm calling on everyone to put out their garbage so that we can collect it free of cost to you for the Christmas season. Transformation of Lagreet. Very shortly in the new year, people should get their stamped, what do you call it, certificate of title for the lands in Lagreet. That was the first project, and now we are moving to other areas in St. Kitts, including St. Paul's, Upper Monkey Hill, and others. Let's go to engineering a green of digital future. By the way, my manifesto had 9 pillars. That was pillar 1, some of the things we've already touched. On the engineering a greener future, if you see, Madam Speaker, actually all are highlighted. I'll read them. Lead a nationwide thrust to maximize our abundance of renewable energy to guide St. Kitts and Nevis into becoming the leading green energy state in the Caribbean and Americas. In my presentation, we will discuss our path towards that. Duty and tax concessions on renewable energy equipment, including affording residents the ability to feed in excess renewable energy into the national electric grid, thereby providing financial credits to the resident. I'm going to speak about that later on in the presentation. Lead the transformation to an e-government by securely digitizing record keeping and delivery of services by all government departments. That has started, Madam Speaker. When we talk about small business, agriculture, and entrepreneurship, startup grants, loans, concessions, training, and guidance for newly launched and expanding small businesses through the establishment of National Business Incubator to guide the complete development of small businesses. Member for number 4 is championing that. Encouraging and supporting backyard garden production. That is underway. Produce local, eat local. We're going to talk about the 25 for 25 by 2025. Let's move to the...
It's 5 years ago to know.
Well, you know, that's the whole point. On the health and wellness, security, and caring for the elderly. A brand new state-of-the-art JNF hospital to elevate our nation's healthcare to a premium standard. In number 3. Age with dignity. We created that ministry specifically for that. Look at this one. Keeping the peace. Expanding the peacekeeping initiatives by investing in identifying skill sets of our youths who have decided to pursue an alternative path to a life of crime, and appropriately training these our youths to become independent, positive, contributing members of the society. Elevate. Sports development. If you look in the budget, you will see that Limekeel is specifically identified for upgrades. The start of the process will happen for the Limekeel playfield. And perhaps this is a good time to indicate to the member for number 6 and his partner, the senator, that we thank them for the effort that they put out in the Premier League Championship. But I made a commitment to the people of West Bastia that if I become their representative, I will do whatever is necessary to bring the cup back to the village. No, it's on tape, it's on tape. I said it. And so this is a good time to congratulate the Village Superstars football team for winning their 6th championship, tied of course with St. Paul's. And I want to say that St. Paul's was heading for a 3-peat.
We give it to you, man. Just...
You give it to me?
Yeah.
I will teach the village how to do three-peat. I had told her in one of his songs, said nobody gonna three-peat on him. Nobody gonna three-peat on me. Congratulations to the village superstars. And we are working with the Ministry of Sports to upgrade not only Lime Keel, but Patsy Allers and also the Boyd's playing field. I have here the continuation of sponsorship and support to football teams and other sporting teams. This continues. I did a major sponsorship for Village Superstars, and I continue to do that. Similarly for Trafalgar South Stars. All of these teams will continue to benefit from the sponsorship programs. Let's go to youth and education. The provision of a laptop, tablet to each primary school child in West Bastia. That is underway. Continuation and expansion of the annual Konris Maynard West Bastia All-Round Student Scholarship Award. That continues. This one is for the member of number 4 again, who is leading in this, and he will know that we've had discussions in cabinet to ensure that we have the right mix. Facilitate the development of a vibrant youth and creative orange economy to the resourcing and promotion of youth-centric industries such as the arts, designs, cuisine, film, entertainment, media, sports, and lifestyle. Underway. Ensure that children with special needs and diverse abilities are given the educational and employment opportunities to live fulfilling and productive lives. Right here in this parliament, we have instituted, and I must say that I have a sibling, and the proper term, Iceline, is person with disability. I have a sibling with a disability. And when they met with the Prime Minister, I think this was one of the things that was raised. How can we get engaged with the process? And the response is, no, my sibling who is partially deaf, who is unable to hear properly, can look at the television right now and understand everything that is being said in this parliament. When we talk about, I go to pillar history and culture, the construction of the 1935 Buckley's Uprising Monument to memorialize our fallen heroes who fought for workers' rights. Earlier this year, went to cabinet and got approval for the acquisition of land in the Buckley's area for the construction of this Buckley's Uprising Monument. Additionally, we created a committee that will pursue this particular objective ongoing. Look at this one. Creating a new model for culture and creative industries, commencing with the rebirth of Villagerama. Well, Villagerama has been reborn. We had our first Villagerama in many years. This year, put your hands together for the village community. Delivery. We continue with our support of cultural groups throughout the constituency. Look on the family man. It says, support the increase of the national minimum wage to a minimum of $500 per week. Prime Minister in his budget address signaled a 2-phase increase to what? $500 per week. Look at this one here as well. The expansion of the poverty alleviation program by empowering more members in the family through better paying jobs, opportunities to study, and more financial assistance where needed to adequately lift.
No, man, you're right.
No, it's right here. Yes. It's right here. The expansion of the poverty alleviation program by empowering more members in the family through better paying jobs, opportunities to study, and more financial assistance where needed to adequately lift households out of poverty. Yep. The member, Senator for Social Services, announced the creation or the transformation of the PAP program to LIFT. Accountability and transparency and representation. Tirelessly represent your issues and concerns in the parliament and government. Well, you know, I'm always in here batting hard. Maintain a presence in the constituency, including regular access to the constituency office. I've had, I'm sure, close to 50 sessions in my constituency office. Champion the good governance agenda, including constitutional reform, listen to this, AG, integrity in public life, freedom of information, parliamentary rules reform, public sector reform, etc. Right here. And we've already achieved those. So those are some of the things already achieved. You will see, I'm going to follow the member for number 1. He had his marked. So you can see from there, those that are in highlighted. Those are the things already checked off in 16 months. Congratulations, Mr. PM and your administration. You're helping me to deliver for the people of constituency number 2.
Working hard for that.
Madam Speaker, the member for number 8, our Prime Minister, has given me the responsibility to lead the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, Energy, Utilities, Domestic Transport, Information, Communication and Technology, and Posts, which happen to be some of the very critical ministries as we march valiantly toward the creation of a sustainable island state. In fact, the ministries I have the privilege to lead touch the following critical United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Goal number 6, clean water and sanitation. Goal number 7, affordable and clean energy. Goal number 9, industry, innovation, and infrastructure. Excuse me. Goal number 11, sustainable cities and communities. I will now proceed to give an account of my stewardship of the ministries I lead and also request the endorsement of this Honorable House of the strategic plans and the budget laid out in the 2024 estimates for these ministries. Firstly, I must use this opportunity, though, to thank all of the many supporting staff of the ministries, from the permanent secretaries to the directors, to the engineers, to the cleaners. Whatever work you do in our ministry, I am eternally grateful for the work that you do on behalf of the people of this federation. The truth is, without a supportive cast, I, as minister responsible for these ministries, and we as cabinet ministers, would not be able to achieve any of our strategic objectives for the country. I see some of the staff here. Thank you very, very much for your support, and I look forward to continued working with you in the coming year. Madam Speaker, permit me to refer to the words of a winning national calypso penned about 12 years ago, 9 years before the year 2020. The name of the creative piece is aptly 2020, written, composed, and arranged by King Konris. Yours truly. It's the most appropriate song I could find. Though I wish it could be somebody else. The song was seeking to raise the alarm to the country that we cannot be distracted by petty politics, as there were critical objectives we must pursue to become a sustainable island state in order to withstand global shocks. The first verse and chorus is as follows. And Madam Speaker, I think I've said before that I actually have to read my lyrics, because when I'm writing the calypso, I am singing it. So I can't say the words, I would have to sing it, and I don't think singing is permitted. Or I think you have to ask special permission to sing in the house. But anyway, my voice is not too good today. So the lyrics read, Dear Father, please open our eyes to see all the things that you, Lord, want us to be. A people that do not have a vision inevitably shall perish from on this earth. So excuse me if I have some apprehension, as it seems we are living with our eyes wide closed. From the political warfare destroying my country, to the very food that we can but do not grow. From the hatred for each other that leaves our streets bloody, to the many talents we have but just don't expose. So tell me what it is we're waiting on before we can see all the things we're doing wrong. Do we believe that the 2020 year will wipe our eyes clean and make our vision clear? The chorus goes on to say, are we waiting blindly for 2020 before we see? Well, we cannot wait around for 2020 for us to see. Are we waiting to see what to do with our sugar lands, when every year is millions in food slipping through we hands? And every month we cry, because electricity is high, yet we have the sun in the sky just wasting light. This can't be right. Are we waiting blindly for 2020 before we see? Well, we cannot wait around for 2020. We have to see. We need to see today. That was 2011. Madam Speaker, to be honest, as the author of this piece, I would not have expected that it would actually take the year 2020 with a global pandemic to open our eyes to see what we needed to be doing as a small island state to prepare us for the future and become a sustainable island state. The Right Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas and his administration at the time had a vision that, unfortunately, many could not comprehend. Instead, many were blinded by the political warfare waged to remove the then Labour administration so that they could plunder the rewards of the vision pursued by the Labour Party administration then. It took 2020 to open our eyes to the political mischief and abuse by the administration led by the former Prime Minister, such that we as a nation decided post-2020 to mature out of the petty and transactional politics to reach to a point where the opposition or government does not have to oppose everything the other side promotes. It took post-2020 for members within that same administration to realize the true nature of the scorpion leading the pack and grew the courage to stand up and say they had enough of that type of leadership. Madam Speaker, it took 2020 for us to see the wisdom in the Douglas-led Labour administration in providing then duty-free concessions on all solar renewable energy equipment. Imagine if we had already solarized by 2020, if we didn't wait, then we would have had no concerns about oil tankers being unable to dock at our shores to bring fuel for our electricity, businesses, and transportation in the height of the pandemic. It took post-2020, after the change of government, that is in 2022, ushering a next Labour administration led by the member for constituency number 8, Dr. Michael Terence Drew, to move to the next step of declaring the geothermal reserves on Nevis as a national asset and a resource that must be exploited for the benefit of all residents of St. Kitts and Nevis. If we didn't wait until 2020, today the government would not have had to be paying nigh $50 million in assistance and fuel subsidy in order to keep electricity prices from escalating and hurting the pockets of everyday Kittians and divisions. Imagine what we could do, Madam Speaker, what we could be doing for you, the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, if we didn't have to spend 50 million in fuel subsidies and support to the efforts of SKNIS. We could build more roads, all the roads you want in town. We could build more houses. We could give more grants and loans to start more businesses. We could upgrade our schools faster. We could transition to an e-government faster. We could build out geothermal and the infrastructure to support it faster. We could transition to lift from PAP faster and giving more to those who need it the most to lift them out of poverty faster. Madam Speaker, it took 2020 when we had to line up in long, socially distant lines to get food from the supermarkets that had come in on vessels that were in some cases delayed or stranded for us to realize that we needed to be producing more of the food we consume. Thankfully, now post-2020, now that we are able to see, it seems, we have a minister who is championing the 25% reduction in food imports by 2025. Madam Speaker, this is interesting. Do you remember, before our eyes were opened in 2020, when Dubai was a curse word?
Say it again.
Do you remember in this country when saying Dubai was like saying a curse word? People literally could not see the vision of engaging with who would become the next frontier of rapid development into a global economic hub. I recall one political commentator sought to scare the people of St. Kitts and Nevis into believing that there would be human waste shipped from Dubai to here. You remember that? Yeah. Just the other day, when I had the honor to represent St. Kitts and Nevis at COP28 in Dubai, in UAE, to discuss some of these very visionary things that the Labour administration then was talking about. A discussion ensued where a Kittitian admitted that they did not see the vision of us engaging with Dubai in UAE and in other Middle Eastern economic powerhouses. However, today, they laud the wisdom in us being the first to try and establish diplomatic relations and presence in the UAE such that we could have engaged first with the investors who have invested and are poised to invest further in our country. That was vision. When we were there, I sat in meetings where people would say how Dubai looked just a few years ago. And for then, the administration led by Dr. Douglas, to see that that is where the world will be rushing to. That is vision. Madam Speaker, as I started, a people that do not have a vision inevitably shall perish from on this earth. Thankfully, this new Labour administration has a vision to complete the creation of the sustainable island state. And that vision is now being led by the Honorable Member for St. Christopher VIII, our Prime Minister, who has received the baton of leadership to navigate our small state through this large ocean of sustainable possibilities. It is in this vein that I now speak about the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, Energy, Utilities, and Domestic Transport. The government understands, Madam Speaker, that a robust infrastructure system is central to our social and economic development strategy. Public Works Department has been tasked with responsibilities of enhancing the quality of life and safety of all citizens by providing a good public road network that facilitates The safe and efficient flow of traffic, ensuring that all newly constructed government buildings meet the relevant international electrical, plumbing and structural standards, and providing quality service to a responsive and responsible team committed to high standards, accountability, and effective maintenance of the country's infrastructure. All in line as well with our sustainable development goals. Madam Speaker, construction is one of the major catalysts for growth in any country. This budget is proposing in excess of $130 million in construction-related capital expenditure from the government alone. This does not include the new housing revolution, which is financed by foreign direct investment, the new hospital, the $217 million EC solar and battery energy farm, which I'll speak about a little later, and the many other private investment projects on the horizon. Some of the proposed government projects under this ministry, that is my ministry, include construction of coastal area revetments in Irishtown, Fortland, and New Guinea, community road development, starting with roads in Shadwell West, Shadwell South, housing development, Boyd's View, and Palmetto Point, then going on to Race Course, Newton Ground, Rollins, St. Paul's, and White House in St. Peter's. It's White House is called, right?
Yes.
And then moving on to Farm Meadows, Sandy Point, Lodge, and Stapleton. I think they call it Gundo.
Yes.
Yes. Gondo. We will also pursue, of course, the resurfacing of asphalt roads. We heard the member for number 2 mention the roads. The completion, the final completion, finally the completion of the Old Road Bay Road. Slope stabilization in Phillipses, Otleys, and Cunningham. The St. Peter's Main Road. In particular, the St. Peter's Main Road has gone through its processes. It has gone through its design, it's gone through its development, it has gone through its procurement, and now it is at the stage of signing off the contract and moving forward. And the budget has significant monies allocated for the completion of the St. Peter's Main Road, for the construction of the St. Peter's Main Road. Construction of water reservoirs, a 2 million gallon reverse osmosis desalination plant. Some other projects led by other ministries where some level of activity is expected in 2024 include, you would have heard some of them, in the Ministry of Justice and Legal Affairs, the construction of the Ministry of Justice and Legal Affairs building, the Legal Services Complex configuration and outfitting, rehabilitation of the Judicial Complex, Phase 2, from the Ministry of National Security, construction of the new Traffic Department, refurbishment of police stations, and construction of the Outreach Center. In the Ministry of Finance, the upgrade, rehabilitation, renovation of government buildings. In the Ministry of Social Development, upgrade of community centers, construction of new administration building, New Horizons upgrade and enhancement project. Ministry of Marine Resources Department, upgrade of the Fisheries building. In the Ministry of Tourism, the refurbishment of the Pelican Mall. In the Ministry of Education, the construction of the Joshua Obadiah Williams Primary School, construction of the new Bastia High School, the secondary school electrical upgrade Phase 1, the Washington Archibald High School bathroom roof and window renovation project. In the Ministry of Health, the construction of the new hospital, the construction of the St. Peter's Health Center. In the Ministry of Sports, the upgrade of pavilions, the upgrade of sporting facilities, the upgrade of the Kim Collins Athletic Stadium. The Minister spoke about these. Upgrade of playfields including Limekeel. Upgrade of Warner Park.
That's 5 years or next year?
Ministry of Sustainable Development, start of the process for the construction of Sustainable Development Building. In the Ministry of Housing, Human Settlement, Ecclesiastical Affairs and Faith-Based Affairs, the NHC housing projects and the Garden housing complex. Madam Speaker, this is probably a good time to encourage builders and contractors and skilled persons to register your businesses with Public Works Department. Let the different ministries know that you have a skill or you have a business. Make sure you're good with your business license, etc., so that you may be called upon to provide quotations for certain types of works. Do not be left out. Do not wait on the sideline. Register yourself. Let yourself be known. Madam Speaker, it is important to note that apart from the projects within the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, Energy et al., which I called first, which our ministry is directly related, responsible for, Public Works Department is also tasked with effectively being the designer and project manager for all of those government projects that I called. In fact, according to the Procurement and Contract Administration Act, the interpretation section says, works means the construction, reconstruction, erection, installation, repair, renovation, extension, or demolition of a building, structure, or works, and includes services such as mapping, drilling, soil testing, site preparation, excavation, demolition, maintenance, and other similar activities furnished in connection therewith if the value does not exceed the value of the construction, reconstruction, erection, installation, repair, renovation, or extension of the building, structure, or works. The Act goes on to state in Section 7, appointment of procurement officers. Subsection 2 states, the Director of Public Works shall be the procurement officer for works, heavy equipment, and tools and architectural, engineering, and land surveying services. Therefore, Madam Speaker, this is a huge undertaking for the small staff of professionals at Public Works. Madam Speaker, we know, we hear it all the time, all the licks that Public Works has gotten in the past for turning around quite slow. I see the director smiling. People say you're moving too slow. Well, the truth is the government has put an ambitious capital projects agenda before us at Public Works. And although we won't be responsible for doing all of the work, we are responsible for providing the guidance to the ministries on the work that is to be pursued. Well, if only, Madam Speaker, if you only have 5 persons to do the work of 10, then what can we really expect? And so therefore, a few months ago, we approached Cabinet and received approval to increase the professional staffing at Public Works with 2 additional project managers, 1 general/electrical engineer, 1 quantity surveyor, and 1 architect. This is 5 additional professionals at Public Works. Some interviews have been done, and we are just about ready to onboard these additional expert staff. In addition to these, Madam Speaker, we are asking in this budget for the creation of a new post called the Deputy Director of Public Works in order to provide support to the position of Director. This is another expert professional to be added to the PWD roster. This means that for 2024, Public Works will have an additional 6 trained professionals to aid in the design and development of the government's projects and also to increase the operational efficiency of Public Works. So we are dealing with the matter. The staff is hardworking, but the reality is they have been tremendously overworked. We anticipate that this injection of professional staff will ease that burden and increase the efficiency of the Public Works Department. Madam Speaker, in 2024, increased attention will be paid to our quarry and making the operations much more efficient to ensure that the quarry can meet the demands of the anticipated increased construction activity. As you know, the quarry is located at Canada Industrial Site, where most aggregates for the country are produced. Aggregate is an essential material for the construction industry, as it is used to create asphalt, masonry blocks, and concrete. 90% of asphalt is made up of aggregate. 80% of concrete is aggregate. And about 38,000 tons of aggregate are needed to construct every mile of road. As such, aggregate plays a critical role in the construction industry. Madam Speaker, one of the major challenges at the quarry is the aging fleet of equipment, where some have passed their efficient usefulness. In fact, one of the crushing jaws that is constantly under stress is 35 years old. 35 years old. There are two loaders that are 26 and 30 years old. Consequently, the Public Works Department has been tasked with creating a strategic outlook on the transformation of the quarry into a modern outlook in the short term, including identifying the most critical equipment upgrades needed for 2024. Madam Speaker, I want to move on now to energy. For us to realize our vision of a sustainable island state, there is perhaps one sector which lies at the center of this vision: energy. The exploitation of energy sources is what has propelled the advancement of mankind. Think about it. Anywhere you see success, it would mean that they have had access to good energy. Even in movies. The crux of the matter is always energy, to have the power to be able to do all manner of things. According to the UN, energy drives economies and sustains societies. Consider any day of our lives and realize that energy is the center of maintaining the standard of living that we have. You look in your homes, everything you want to use is powered by electricity. Same with our businesses. You may look in your bathroom, for instance, and say, well, I don't have any energy in there. I just turn on the water. But how does that water get to you? A lot of people did not realize that for us to get the water out of our aquifers, we actually have to use large amounts of energy to pump it out of the aquifers, and then further to pump it into a storage tank. So while we have gravity-fed storage tanks, in order to get the water there from our underground sources, we have to use significant amount of energy. So for instance, if you're someplace and you see electricity has gone, and then shortly thereafter you might see, if electricity goes for a long period of time, you will then see that your water may also go, because we are unable to pump the water needed to the particular site of storage. Now, with the reduced rainfall, we also now have, and I'll speak about that a little later, we also now have to run reverse osmosis desalination plants. The only major challenge with Arrow is not even dealing with the brine that comes from the production of the water. It is the cost of energy to do that. The production of water, for instance, is critical for the production of food. Energy is needed for large industries and manufacturing which hire hundreds of people. Therefore, in St. Kitts and Nevis, there is a particular nexus which is of utmost importance for us in pursuit of sustainability. Energy, water, food. Energy, industries, salaries. If we solve energy, we solve water. If we solve water, we solve food. Again, if we solve energy, we solve industries. And if we solve industries, we solve salaries. So this is an important nexus that is critical to the development of our sustainable island state, with energy as the center pin. However, at present, our energy is largely powered by fossil fuels, whether it is diesel for the generators at the power station or gasoline for our vehicles. We are therefore significantly dependent on fossil fuel and vulnerable to the fluctuating prices of oil. Meanwhile, the cumulative use of these fossil fuels around the globe are contributing to the devastation of our environment as the Earth's temperatures continue to rise. Now, although St. Kitts and Nevis, like many other small island states, contribute an insignificant amount of greenhouse gases, we are disproportionately affected by the effects of the climate change that is caused. We see it all the time. We see that the storms are getting fiercer and more frequent because they have warmer waters to travel over. We see change in weather patterns leading to longer, harsher, drier droughts and shorter, more intense rainy periods. We see rising sea levels because the ice caps at the north and southern tips of the earth are melting. These rising sea levels are covering whole islands in some parts of the globe. The rising sea levels are threatening our freshwater aquifers, especially as we continue to draw too much fresh water from our aquifers. You know, somebody might say the seawater covering islands, that's something that's far from us. Well, I want to remind folks, as I did in the press conference the other day, that Bastia is at, and in some instances, below sea level. Therefore, we cannot afford for the ocean to continue to rise. So although we have no part to play in that, we have to be concerned. I think it was when I was at COP, I came across a widget or an application that you can move the cursor left and right. When you move it right, you will see the seawater level, and they show different cities that will just become submerged with water. Wow. If we continue on this path as a globe, that is what we are threatened with. Beaches are disappearing as a result of our changing climate. I am told that the beach at Koi Resort is all but gone because of the impact of climate change. This is real. So when you can't turn on water in your house, you have to think of climate change. When you can't visit a beach that you knew existed long time ago, that's climate change. We have also seen the menacing rise of the amount of seaweed or sargassum. Madam Speaker, I believe the world is now clear that climate change is a problem and that it is caused by the emissions from the production of energy using fossil fuels. Although our contribution to climate change is negligible, St. Kitts and Nevis is poised to lead the way to 100% renewable energy by 2030. For us, it is not only about protecting the environment, but importantly, it is about being able to afford to live in the environment that we still have and to live sustainably. So for us, it's not just about protecting the environment, because we really are not contributing to the devastation of our environment. But as I will show, our push towards renewable energy is a fight to ensure that we can survive and afford to survive. With our dependence on imported fossil fuels, we have no control of the price of fuel or the price of anything manufactured or produced using that fuel. Electricity cost. Let's look at that. I have a snapshot here of a bill. Because this government decided that we will not pass on the immediate effects of the variation in fuel costs to the consumers. So I pulled a bill. This is from, I think, maybe November of last year when we started, November or December last year when we started recording the subsidy payment on your bill. So this customer had a charge of $730 in usage. $13 was added for the standing charge. The FVC amount was $596.75. So you use $730 of electricity based on our present tariff. But because of the difference in price in fuel, there was an additional charge of $596.75. The government paid that. So when you look on your bill and you see your charge, you're going to see a charge called the FVC. Over the last year or so, the government is paying that bill. But as I mentioned before, if we were not paying that bill, there were so many other things we could be doing with that near $50 million. Another example later on, this is earlier this year, when the prices dropped a bit. The bill was $721. The FEC was $310. The government is paying that. I think one of our campaign commitments was to probably give close to $1,000 for electricity. Yes. Well, for everybody, we have given a lot more than $1,000 by paying the FEC. That is the cost of us not transitioning to renewable energy. The price of energy will affect all sorts of things. You name it, production of water, brewery, manufacturing, our cars. And I believe that we are subsidizing the fuel costs for vehicles as well right now. Therefore, Madam Speaker, the energy transition for us is also about energy price independence. Madam Speaker, I recall as a young man in school learning about bauxite in Jamaica, oil in Trinidad and now Guyana, oil in the Middle East, lumber and gold from Guyana, and a whole host of other what we call natural resources. To my disappointment in those classes, we of course learned that St. Kitts and Nevis was not considered to have any natural resources. However, as time has marched on, and in particular, when I wrote that song 2020, it became clear to me that in fact, St. Kitts and Nevis did have its own natural resource, energy. And I'm going to show you how. So energy is really our oil. Energy is really our gold. Energy is really our bauxite and our lumber. It is our natural resource. And not only is it a natural resource, it's renewable. So, what do I mean when I say that we have a natural resource of energy? We are advised that the geothermal potential on Nevis is up to 1 gigawatt of power. 1 gigawatt of power. What does that mean? Madam Speaker, you know what's a gigawatt? Presently, St. Kitts requires 28 megawatts of peak power. That's how much power the the power station has to generate to service St. Kitts at its peak, 28 megawatts. Just remember that. Meanwhile, Nevis requires 9 megawatts of peak power. So that is combined about 37 megawatts. Well, it takes 1,000 megawatts to make 1 gigawatt. 1,000 megawatts to make 1 gigawatt. Therefore, if the geothermal reserve in Nevis is in excess of 1 gigawatt, or in excess of 1,000 megawatts, by us only needing 37 megawatts for our power needs, we only need 3.7% of the geothermal potential to power the entire Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Energy is our gold. Additionally, we are blessed with some of the best solar energy potential, having long sunny days all year round for hundreds more of megawatts of power. I'm also advised that we have upwards of 800 megawatts of wind energy potential. Madam Speaker, also as a small island state, but as a large ocean state, we have not even started talking about the energy to be harnessed from the ocean around us. There is obviously still the option of waste to energy. Energy is our bauxite, energy is our gold, energy is our lumber. This means that we have in excess of 2 gigawatts or 2,000 megawatts of renewable energy potential, while at presently we only need 37 megawatts. That's 1.something% of our potential that we need. So why on earth have we not been running to deal with this, to exploit this for the benefit of our people? So firstly, upon taking office, we learned of a simple request to be signed off by the federal government in support of a financing facility from the Caribbean Development Bank to be made available to proceed with the drilling of production wells for the geothermal plant in Nevis. Now, when I say simple, I mean preschool simple. Preschool simple. It was like asking a preschooler, how old are you? So you ask little Johnny boy, you know, when they go to preschool, if it is one thing they know how to answer. How old are you? I am 3. They might even put up 5 fingers. I'm 3. But they know how old they are. And in the last administration, led by the member for number 7, a simple question was asked. Put your signature in support of expanding the geothermal potential on Nevis. A simple question. How old are you? 3. And while the Nevis administration was telling its investors and its partners, geopolitical and otherwise, that we are ready to move forward with geothermal, they said, but wait, your federal government is not saying that. There is no support for what you are saying. You are at odds with each other.
Madam Speaker, on a point of order, please. The member for number 3 is giving misleading information to the public. Truth be told, the records will show that as far back as 2019,
what records?
We signed the government record.
What records?
The government record would be the only record, Madam Speaker, that we could relate to.
Honourable member for number 7.
Yes.
When I am asking a question,
yes,
allow me to finish my question. I allow everybody in here an opportunity to finish their presentations. If I'm asking a question, I expect that respect. Thank you. You may proceed.
I'm saying the government record will show that in 2019, the Team Unity government gave a letter of comfort to the CDB in relation to the geothermal. The record will show that.
Speaker, if
You may
I may
proceed.
continue.
Yes, you may.
In 2022, when we assumed office, it became clear to us by the increase of our geopolitical partners and investors that what the NIA was telling them was different from what the federal government was telling them. I have had representations from the highest level of the political sphere in this world inquiring as to whether or not we are on the same page. In fact, we had to come to this parliament, and I will speak about that a little later, to show up to the international community and investors that we are now serious about moving forward with geothermal. But some people who has been playing cat and mouse with the...
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Honorable member for number 7. Allow the member for number 3 to present. You will have an opportunity to respond. You are speaking loudly and it's interrupting the speaker. There are also, let me finish, do not attempt to speak over me. I just told you about that. There are rules as it relates to interruption. I don't want any interruption from anybody. Allow the members to present. Thank you.
Madam Speaker, you can always tell when a wave of destruction has arrived. Things will be going smoothly, but somebody rolls in and disrupts what was good. So I want to reinforce that the federal government was presented with a simple question, which I am thankful that our administration responded to immediately upon getting into office. And that's very interesting that there was some letter of comfort in 2019, and in 2022, August, still nothing done. But we signed that letter, I think, in September. And by December, the Nevis Island administration had the approval for $17 million to pursue geothermal drilling in Nevis. $1 million of that was for technical support, which is a full grant, and $16 million was for drilling. And what that facility is called is a contingently recoverable grant. What is a CI or a CRG? What is a CRG? Madam Speaker, as you'd imagine, drilling into the unknown carries certain levels of financial risks. However, in the case of Nevis, the preliminary test wells had already confirmed the existence of the wells. In fact, the Nevis geothermal resource has been described by experts as one of the best geothermal resources that has not yet been developed. There are 3 slim hole wells drilled in 2007. There were 3 slim hole wells drilled in 2007, and the 4th drilled in 2018. Based on these results and the related studies, it was determined that significant geothermal reservoirs existed starting less than 1 kilometer below the western side of Nevis. The expected temperature of the resource is 250 to 290 degrees Celsius. This is at least twice the heat needed for geothermal energy production. So it is a very, very good resource. But you see, Madam Speaker, as was said by the Premier of Nevis, a member for number 9, He said that when he inquired, or in the discussions, he was being told that we need to go slow because there is potential geothermal resource in St. Kitts. With all of this here, this potential that we have, all those things I talked about, that energy will solve. Our water, our food, our industries, our salaries, saving the government millions of dollars so we can focus on targeted social programs. You have to ask yourself, why on earth would a member, especially one, for instance, who claims that his father is from Nevis, not be interested in ensuring the development of geothermal on Nevis? Wow.
No, it's a wow.
Wow.
Madam Speaker, the next stage is to drill the actual wells now, to extract the steam and also the wells to put the cooled steam or the cool water back into the earth. So what the CRG covers is this. If in the unlikely event that these wells are not successful, now remember, we have every evidence that they're going to be successful. That is why an organization or institution will be willing to put up $70 million US. There's every indication that it will be successful. But if it turns out, in the unlikely event that it is not successful, that $16 million will turn into a grant.
No cost to us.
No cost to us here at the federal level or at the Nevis Island administration level. That is a very, very good financial tool. It provides risk mitigation because now we don't have to be fearful that if we spend this $16 million, and we do not find geothermal power, that we are exposed. If the wells, however, are successful, then the funds turn into affordable financing to be repaid once there is production of power. A few months ago, with the help of the CDB, an RFP was issued in order to attract the best in the business to come to the Federation to proceed with the drilling of three wells. However, while there was significant interest by well over 30 companies, I believe, a challenge of scale rose its head. Many of the top drillers did not see immediately the economic benefit of moving their entire operation machinery to the island of Nevis to only drill the first 3 wells. They wanted more work, obviously, to mobilize all of that and come to Nevis to drill 3 wells. Was not proven the best it was not proven best economically. They wanted to ensure that other wells would also be drilled. To drill the other wells required an additional $20 million US. It is in this vein that the federal government is once again working to ensure that geothermal becomes a reality. We have approached different institutions to help secure the remainder of this US $20 million gap, including the Saudi Fund for Development, who has given the commitment to partner with us on this endeavor. We are presently working through final processes towards securing this partnership. The federal government is committed to this endeavor. I want to stress as well that in order to show the commitment, of this federal government in partnership with the Nevis Island administration, a few weeks ago we came to this august body, and those of us who were intent on showing support for this endeavor stayed behind and voted unanimously to support a resolution declaring that the Nevis Island administration, or the geothermal on the Nevis, is a federal resource, a federal asset that we must exploit to the benefit of the people. I must give commendation to this honorable House for taking that bold step towards the realization of our energy independence. The wells that are being proposed to be built in this first phase with the 16 million and the 20 million should produce 30 megawatts minimum up to 45 megawatts of power.
Wow.
Base power, night and day. With another phase of drilling, this will increase to 50 megawatts up to 75 megawatts. This was a no-brainer.
And they ain't do it.
It was a no-brainer.
Wow. That's a wow. Spite the people who need this.
What else are we doing in pursuit of 100% renewable energy by 2030?
Too bad.
But before I go on to solar power, I just want to make sure that for once and for all we understand that we have to treat energy in general, but in particular geothermal energy, as our gold, as our bauxite, as our lumber. Don't sit at home and say we're just talking about energy. Just look at it. And later on, when I'm finished speaking of solar energy, I will speak about how this excess energy can transform St. Kitts and Nevis. So when it comes to solar energy, as part of our strategy to pursue 100% renewable energy by 2030, I want to read a press statement that was issued on November 29th, which reads, Federal government and SKNIS successfully renegotiate solar PV and battery energy storage project to the benefit of residents of St. Kitts and Nevis. Let me read that again. Federal government and SKNIS successfully renegotiate solar PV and battery energy storage project to the benefit of residents of St. Kitts and Nevis. The government of St. Kitts and Nevis and the St. Kitts Electricity Company Limited, SKNIS, have executed an amended power purchase agreement, PPA, with the project developer Solec Power Limited for the largest solar PV and battery energy storage project in the Caribbean. The project, scheduled for completion in 2025, will provide St. Kitts with 35.7 megawatts of solar capacity and 43.6 megawatt hours of battery storage for the delivery of clean, renewable, and reliable energy for 25 years. During the past year,
Slow down the man, that's a wow.
During the past year, the government directed a complete and thorough review of the project and further directed the renegotiation of several key elements to the previously signed PPA, the most important of which were, 1, a reduction in the power purchase price. 2, an opportunity for local private sector investment in the project. And 3, rigid timelines for completion of the project. Rigid. Some will say, I will pause here, this is not in the press release, although maybe it should have been. Some may say, oh, well, you know, we had a power purchase agreement and this and so on, etc. That was signed in 2019. You see anything out there? Had no rigid timelines for completion of projects. Oh, we have a PPA and so on, etc. Well, when we spoke with SKNIS, they said we need to look at the price. Oh, we had PPA, etc. But there was no consideration of local persons in St. Kitts and Nevis having an opportunity to invest in that project. So I continue. Consequently, I'll speak about that investment portion. Consequently, the Caribbean Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency, SKNIS, was engaged as the CARICOM's top resource for renewable energy projects in the region to review the elements of the previously signed PPA, after the project developer provided a waiver for such review to be undertaken. SKNIS report, in addition to the government's commitment to reduce the price of power for consumers and facilitate local investment into the energy sector, provided the basis for all stakeholders to effectively negotiate a long-term solution for all parties. With the execution of the amended PPA having a reduced fixed power purchase price, SKNIS is now set to save approximately USD $200 million over the life of the PPA, when compared to power generated by diesel power generation.
Apologies, Honourable Member, you have 15 minutes left on your allotted time.
Okay, thank you. The amended PPA also now allows for local investment through SKNIS to further reduce the PPA price so that local investors can benefit directly from the return on investments in this project. Importantly, local investment is not required until the commercial operation date scheduled for 2025, which affords interested private sector businesses and investment-minded individuals the opportunity to observe and assess the complete and functional solar PV and battery energy storage facility before making any investment. Additionally, with the amended PPA, the project developers are now bound by hard timelines to ensure completion of the project. I want to pause there before I read the end of it. What we have set up here, this did not exist before. This company now has rigid timelines to develop a solar power plant with battery energy storage. We, the citizens and residents of St. Kitts and Nevis, will get to see the development of that particular project. We do not have to spend a cent until we are sure of the integrity and the viability of that project. And at commercial operation date, after the testing and so is done, you can then bring your investment to a special purpose vehicle that we will set up so that you will be able to invest in that project. You know what that means? That any money that that company was going to invest in that project and get returns on investment with that money, we now have an opportunity to do that. So if they were receiving 6% perhaps on $10 million that they put in, we now can receive 6% on $10 million that we put in. That is what this government has negotiated for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. On successful completion of this fully integrated solar photovoltaic system and a lithium-ion battery energy storage system, BESS, the facility will supply St. Kitts with 30 to 35% of consumers' annual electricity demand by utilizing sustainable and renewable solar energy with zero carbon emissions. The Solar Plus storage facility will replace 4 million gallons of diesel per year, providing a reduction of 43,500 metric tons of CO2 emissions. The BESS which is the battery energy storage system, in addition to providing energy storage and dispatchable power, will also provide grid balancing, spinning reserve, and emergency power in the event of power loss at SKNIS Needmust Power Plant, which will increase grid stability and reliability while providing higher quality power to consumers. I will pause there again, because this is a very important point as we pursue other areas of renewable energy. One of the challenges, Madam Speaker, if, for instance, everybody in St. Kitts decides that they're going to put solar power on their roof and connect into the grid, let us say it's worth 5 megawatts of power. Remember, our peak is 28 megawatts, thereabout. Let's average it. If you do not have a battery energy storage system, it means that while everybody is pushing 5 megawatts of power into the grid, if we have an overcast just for 2 seconds, it means that that power will drop off very quickly, and we can have outages on the grid. We can have destabilization of the grid. We can have power outages on the grid. In fact, I was in Barbados the other day when a similar episode happened and they couldn't get back the grid to optimal performance immediately. So what a battery energy storage does, apart from providing power when we need it, it also provides grid stability. So when we have those, when we finally release our feed-in energy policy, feed-in tariff policy, and you're able to put, let's say, combine 5 megawatts of power into the grid, by having battery energy storage, even with an overcast for an hour, what will happen is the battery will then ramp up to provide that power. It will give SKNIS enough time to start the additional generators that they were resting, such that when the battery power eases off, then the power from the utility can come back up. So battery energy storage in the system is very, very important, especially when it comes to grid balancing and spinning reserve. Madam Speaker, the project is completely financed with USD 80 million in private capital investment, including debt financing provided by CIBC, First Caribbean International Bank, requiring no capital outlay by SKNIS or the government of St. Kitts and Nevis. Solec Power and the project development is a joint venture of La Planche, Switzerland, and Solwid, Canada. Close to 200 local jobs are expected to be created during the construction and installation of the solar PV and BESS project, while utilizing approximately USD $10 million in local goods and services. Construction is slated to begin in the second quarter of 2024 with the provision of solar energy power to SKNIS in 2025. Madam Speaker, with all of this renewable energy potential that we have, the question is, what can we do with this excess power? Firstly, the Ministry of Energy is committed to the One Grid policy. This policy seeks to establish one electrical grid in St. Kitts and Nevis by connecting our electrical grids via subsea electrical cables. This means that any renewable energy or even thermal energy developed on either island can be shared with the next island. For instance, when in 2025 we add the 35.7 megawatts capacity from the solar power plant, Nevis can benefit from that solar power if we establish the one grid. Similarly, when the Needmus plant is updated to produce another 18 megawatts of power from the dual fuel generators, Nevis can benefit from that power. Equally, when Nevis first turns on a 30 megawatt geothermal power plant in the coming years, one grid will allow St. Kitts to benefit from that power, especially since Nevis only presently needs 9 megawatts. Oh, I'm going kind of fast, sorry. My apologies, because the time is getting short. Madam Speaker, the other important point to note is that with excess affordable renewable energy, you can grow your manufacturing industry. You will be able to build more desalination plants. You will be able to pursue power to X. You know what is power to X? Power to X is using renewable energy to create another energy carrier. For instance, you can have power to ammonia. You can have power to chemicals. You can have power to hydrogen, and so on. In fact, it was my pleasure to have been invited to participate in the round table for the Green Hydrogen Implementation in the Caribbean event, hosted at the NDC Partnership Pavilion at COP28, where I provided the St. Kitts and Nevis perspective on our energy potential. Madam Speaker, the highlight of that event was the signing of a memorandum of understanding between Ansa McCall of Trinidad and Kennis J. Green Limited, also of Trinidad, for the green energy development in the Caribbean region. The MOU was signed by Anthony Sabgo of Ansa McCall and Philip Julian of Kennis J. Both gentlemen have given me their commitment to work with St. Kitts and Nevis as we develop our green energy sector. Additionally, earlier this year, in April, the government of Dominica signed a framework agreement with SKNIS Green Dominica Limited to initiate the first large-scale green hydrogen geothermal project in the Caribbean located in Dominica. St. Kitts and Nevis should be next. Our Caribbean neighbor of Trinidad and Tobago is one of the largest producers and exporters of ammonia. In 2021, TNT exported US $1.74 billion in ammonia. However, Trinidad and Tobago uses natural gas as the feedstock for ammonia production. Apart from producing ammonia ourselves one day, we could be a source of green hydrogen to Trinidad, but also to other countries and sectors that will increasingly look to hydrogen for energy needs. Madam Speaker, another use of the excess renewable energy is being able to export it via subsea cabling to nearby islands. Now, some people say, oh, that's a pipe dream. Yeah?
Tell them.
Well, the longest subsea cable was recently completed at a length of 765 kilometers, or 475 miles, linking Lincolnshire in the UK to Jutland in Denmark. The Viking Link HVDC submarine cable will allow for 1.4 gigawatts of clean energy to move between the two countries. The next longest cable is expected to be a connection between Darwin in Australia to both Indonesia and Singapore at a whopping 4,200 kilometers. Well, Madam Speaker, Center Station is only 28.2 kilometers away. St. Martin is only 86 kilometers away. And Antigua is only 104 kilometers away. Even Puerto Rico is 444 kilometers away, shorter almost by half of the longest present subsea cable. So this is not a pipe dream. This is a reality. This is our gold. This is our bauxite. This is our lumber. Madam Speaker, the energy unit, right, with potential of more than 2 gigawatts of power from renewable energy. Even if we could only develop 10%, Madam Speaker, one can see the untold benefits for St. Kitts and Nevis. Madam Speaker, the energy unit in the ministry is tasked with laying the roadmap to prepare us for energy transition that we are pursuing. In March, they hosted a career day under the theme, Preparing for the Green Economy. That event had professionals in the energy sector who made presentations that shared their experiences in their workplace and the educational requirements and skills for a career in the energy sector. In attendance were students from the Fitzroy Bryant College, AVEC, the Nevis Sixth Form, and we had presenters like from the University of the West Indies, attorney at law with Masters of Law in Energy and Natural Resource, Miss Curlin Merchant. We had people like Dr. Wayne Archibald, a Kittitian lecturer at the University of the West Indies, Meshach Alford, who is a local environmental consultant, Mr. Trevor Baker, who is Assistant ICT Manager at SKELEC, Alfonso Ogaro, who is an entrepreneur in the energy efficiency profession, and Miss Sherry Ann Fakus Hassan, capacity building at the SICRI. We've also had training from JICA, the Japan International Cooperation Agency. Taiwan, our good friends, Republic of China and Taiwan, in conjunction with the Energy Unit, has provided training workshops in a whole host of renewable energy-related activities. We've started creating an energies practitioners database. Recently, we had the CARICOM Energy Month 2023, where the theme was accelerating innovation, driving electrification. We were able to do primary school quizzes. There was a glow walk in Nevis, energy fair at the square, and there was importantly an energy conference at Sir Cecil Jacobs Auditorium that brought regional experts and also the political directorate here. Member for number 9 also participating in that forum, all the way from somewhere else in the world. He had to zoom in. I don't know where he was at the time. I think it was Colombia.
Honorable member, you're out of time.
Yes, thank you. Madam Speaker, I would like, with your leave, to ask this House to grant an additional 30 minutes.
Question is that the honorable member for St. Christopher 3 be granted a further period to speak, not exceeding 30 minutes. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? The ayes have it. You may proceed.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker and colleagues of the House. We had to spend a lot of time on energy this year. We spent a lot of time on water last year. So I will just wrap up on the energy debate. The ministry will pursue an electric vehicle policy and action plan in 2024. We will also pursue, or we are in the final stages of drafting the proposed feed-in tariff policy, or more broadly, the small renewable energy generators regulatory framework, which will regulate small renewable energy generators such as rooftop solar. We will develop the grid code. The ministry will oversee the development of a grid code to define the technical regulations and behavior for all entities connected to the electrical grid. As the minister responsible for energy, I also have, we are connected, of course, to SKNIS as 100% owned for utility of the government. We were able to support SKNIS in the purchase of 2 mobile Caterpillar gensets to the tune of about $5.7 million. Work began on our smart meter outroll. We signed the contract, I think, a year ago, and so that process is going forward. This will enable the launch of the prepaid system for billing, and that is estimated to be completed in 2025. SKNIS continues its work in terms of loss reduction, meaning reducing the loss of how much they produce compared to how much they can bill. The government has subsidized significantly to SKNIS, close to $50 million over the time. I will not go through to all of the details. We spoke about the FEC before. SKNIS, however, continues to grapple with the price of fuel and also the price of maintaining an aged fleet. One other challenge, of course, is the collection of its receivables. For the year so far, SKNIS has only collected about 83% of the electricity it has billed. This equates to about $18.6 million, which remains uncollected for the year so far. Needless to say that a company will not be able to operate effectively if it cannot collect its revenue. The government is doing a lot to assist significantly with supporting SKNIS. We are encouraging consumers to play their part as well. We encourage consumers to adjust the usage of electricity by conservation in order to reduce your electricity costs. Little things count. Plug out anything that you're not using. Take off a light in a room that you're not using. These things can reduce your electricity bill by substantial amounts. Stay tuned to SKNIS for ways in which you can reduce your bill. I also spoke about the aging fleet that SKNIS continues to struggle with, but I am pleased that when I visited Saudi Arabia a few weeks ago, I made representation for support in financing 2 9-megawatt generators, fixed capacity dual fuel generators at NEEDMUS, to the tune of $33 million. After that visit, they would have sent their technical teams here who met with the ministry, myself, and the energy unit. And I am happy to say that when the Prime Minister ventured there last month, he was able to sign the Memorandum of Understanding, securing not just the $33 million, but an additional $7 million to facilitate the smart meter transition. So when they say, you know, even though many of our trips are funded when we go overseas, even if, let's say, the trip costs $10,000, wouldn't you pay $10,000 to sign a memorandum for $40 million?
Of course.
All right.
And the trip was sponsored.
Yep.
No cost to the government.
Yes. Madam Speaker, water, before we run out of time, and I still have ICT to touch. I have some broad ministries. But we dealt with a lot of water issues last year, and we are well on our way to returning St. Kitts and Nevis to 24-hour water service. But I want to stress that we met a budget of $8.7 million for water in 2022, despite the many challenges that we were having with water. Well, when we got there, we increased the budget by 160% to $22.7 million in 2023.
We need them water.
And guess what we are proposing to spend this year? An additional increase of another 70% to $38.6 million. That is a commitment to change the water situation here in St. Kitts and Nevis. As I said, I gave an overview of the water situation last year, but I want to stress a couple of things. Rainfall patterns have changed. Climate change has affected it in serious ways. We are down nearly 20% in the last 10 years. We are down about almost 40% year over year alone. Obviously, we would have increased demand for water with the development of more houses, etc. And so there is a serious threat. But we have done a number of things, and I'm going to get to them. One, we reinitiated BEAD, of course. For some reason, the administration, led by member for number 7, thought that 7.5 years, there was no focus whatsoever on water. No new investment, no nothing at all. Facts. Nothing. Zero. Nada. When we came, we said we can't have that. And so we've now invested, and so from the time the budget that the member for number 7 left, we have increased the budget by 344%. And we're going to keep it there until we get the results that we want in water. And so what did we do? We mobilized BEAD, such that today in Keon, BEAD is there completing the construction of a well that could give potentially 700,000 to maybe 1 million gallons a day. I'm trying to turn on the pipes for Christmas. We're going to see if we get there. They drilled a 580-foot well, and they are proceeding with the completion of that well. When they finish there, we're going to Shadwell. We're going to Shadwell, where we hope to get another maybe 300,000, maybe even up to 500,000 gallons of water.
Yes.
That will help, obviously, the Bastia area and the St. Peter's area.
Less than 2 years.
We bought water from Marriott Royal Utilities water desalination plant to feed water into the system at Frigate Bay. And just a few weeks ago, we built a pump house such that we can pump additional water from the Marriott plant to our storage facilities in Frigate Bay to deal with the Southeast Peninsula and the rest of Frigate Bay. We're upgrading the pipelines over at the peninsula because with the seawater intrusion, we are having significant bursts. We are going to build a 2 million gallon desalination plant. The AG talked about finalizing the agreement. And that agreement is with Royal Utilities because they have 20 years of experience of delivering water, desalinated water in St. Kitts. There were 3 proposals that were looked at and evaluated, and that was the one adjudicated as the best. A very important observation. We are not just stopping at desalinated water. We have engaged an expert by the name of Dr. Roland Hole of Bear Rock Consulting, who has extensive knowledge of the aquifers here in St. Kitts and Nevis. And he is tasked with doing a hydrogeological, I always get this wrong, hydrogeological analysis of the entire water aquifer basin of St. Kitts. He will review the geophysical and hydrogeological and geological data collected over the years. He will identify provisional well targets to be immediately drilled. He will visit the sites, find those potential sites so that we know exactly where to drill. The point is, we have engaged the industry professional to tell us where all the water in St. Kitts exists. When I met with him a few days ago before he left, this happened a few days ago, and he's now preparing his report. He's going to come with a recommendation of a new technology that will allow an aircraft to fly over St. Kitts, and we're going to come to Nevis as well to propose to use this technology, since we're going to have it here, that will be able to map the potential water sites from the air in St. Kitts and Nevis, such that we know where we must zero focus and find the exact place to drill. So we're not just doing desal water, we are exploiting any other groundwater resources that we have. So let me now turn to information, communication, and technology, because I know that I am now strapped for time, and I committed that I will not go more than 30 minutes past the 90 minutes I'm allotted. Madam Speaker, in the digital age, technology has become the driving force behind economic growth, social development, global competitiveness, and inclusivity. It is imperative that we recognize the transformative power of technology and invest in its continued advancement. The pace of change and the simultaneous need for deep structural transformation means that the decade to 2030 represents a critical juncture that not only obliges society to increase its future preparedness, but also to proactively shape what comes next. That is from the World Economic Forum. Madam Speaker, it is with great enthusiasm that I present to you what we have here, the proposed budget for the Ministry of ICT and Posts, a budget that will pave the way for a technologically advanced society. As the Minister, I am entrusted with the responsibility of guiding our nation toward a future powered by innovation, connectivity, and progress, and ultimately achieving an e-government. Digital transformation is a key policy and goal of St. Kitts and Nevis in our journey towards modernization. Our government is committed to ensuring that all citizens have access to affordable and reliable digital services regardless of their geographical location or socioeconomic status. To achieve this, we have increased the budget for the development of ICT infrastructure, including the expansion of broadband connectivity and the establishment of community access points in rural and underserved areas. By providing reliable and affordable internet access to all corners of our country, we aim to empower individuals, businesses, and communities to fully participate in the digital economy. Madam Speaker, I had the privilege to travel to Estonia to see firsthand the digital transformation of their society. I was fortunate to meet Thomas Hendrik Ives, who was the president of Estonia from 2006 to 2016, who is quoted as saying, "In order to digitalize a country effectively, leaders need to realize how revolutionary it can be to completely reorder how governance works. With digitalization of governance and government services, for the first time, the steps in government bureaucracy can be taken in parallel. The countries that do digitalize their governance and services will be among the winners in the 21st century. Our whole of government strategy, technology strategy, and our cybersecurity strategy framework will lay the groundwork to achieve digital transformation. They prioritized various activities and programs for implementation on the three main categories: people, processes, and technology. The cybersecurity strategy framework defines the strategies to ensure the safety, integrity, and availability of government's data and information as it transitions to delivering digital services. We will work, of course, with the legal department to review and update the legislative framework and create legislation to facilitate and enable digital transformation initiatives for e-government, as well as telecommunications that would facilitate our broadband policies. Additionally, we are committed to promoting innovation and supporting the growth of local technology industry. Recognizing the importance of digital literacy, the proposed budget includes provisions for a digital academy and initiatives to foster collaboration between academia, industry, and government. Moreover, Madam Speaker, we understand the need to prioritize cybersecurity. You can ask the Permanent Secretary. Every time I hear of a cybersecurity breach anywhere in the world, I ask, are we ready? Are we ready? So we understand the need to prioritize cybersecurity in an increasingly interconnected world. To protect our citizens' personal information and safeguard critical infrastructure, allocated funds to strengthen our cybersecurity measures and enhance our capacity to respond to cyber threats. We have some very sophisticated software that we have implemented that has been doing very well thus far. But this is an ongoing threat, and so we will continue to add money to secure our country's data. The government also recognizes the significance of e-governance in improving public service delivery and enhancing transparency. We have allocated resources to develop and implement digital platforms that streamline government processes, facilitate online services, and enable better citizen engagement. By embracing digital transformation, we aim to make government services more accessible, efficient, and citizen-centric. Madam Speaker, as I mentioned earlier, I recently led a delegation to Tallinn, Estonia, to the e-governance conference under the theme, Digital Innovation as Catalyst for Social Change. The conference provided numerous benefits. I am really glad, I almost didn't go, and I'm really glad that we did go. Provided numerous benefits on a platform for networking and collaboration. We were able to meet the industry experts there, who we are now engaging with. We got the opportunity to meet and discuss with professionals, experts, and peers from various backgrounds, which opened doors to new partnerships and collaborations. These new partnerships have provided us with valuable insights, practical knowledge, and best practices that can be applied to our own work as we develop and implement our own e-ID card and other digital transformation initiatives. A couple of things we're proud of for this year in ICT. I am proud to state that St. Kitts and Nevis became the latest country in the region to launch a local internet exchange point. Wow. The launch of this internet exchange point was the culmination of unprecedented collaboration between the government, the Caribbean Network Operators Group, CaribNOG, the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, ECCB, and local internet service providers in the highly competitive local telecommunications market. The new IXP is expected to help improve internet service in St. Kitts and Nevis by eliminating dependence on international connectivity links for local internet traffic exchange. Having a local IXP means there is no physical infrastructure in country where internet service and content providers can come together to interconnect their networks and exchange local internet traffic. It then means, Mr. PM, when you send in a WhatsApp message to Dr. Douglas over there, it doesn't have to go to Miami and then come back. Wow. It will just go to the internet exchange point here locally and come back. Gotcha. 10 minutes, thank you. The new IXP is expected to help improve internet service in St. Kitts by, I think I read that already. We will continue to deploy all of these initiatives that we have undertaken, and we will also work closely with the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Finance, etc., to achieve some of these goals that we have identified. I just want to take a moment to highlight the advances of the cable company, for instance, and they are pursuing a theme of continued increase in internet availability, accessibility, and speeds at an affordable price, with an overall objective of 100 megabits per second minimum for all citizens and residents.
Wow.
In fact, I want that to go to 1 gig by 2030. In this regard, the cable can boast that we now have internet speeds up to 300 megabits per second in all secondary schools, community centers, free Wi-Fi zones in downtown Bastia, free Wi-Fi at the airport, double internet speeds for the same price for thousands of residential customers, providing fiber connectivity to all health centers and hospitals in St. Kitts will be completed, I think, this month, enabling a robust and reliable infrastructure for the future rollout of telemedicine and remote diagnostics and treatment.
Wonderful.
Continued deployment of the climate-resilient underground fiber-to-the-home network infrastructure, and increase off-island internet bandwidth capacity and double the redundancy to ensure customers remain connected. I think the cable was actually the first telecoms provider to fully be connected and ready to peer for the local IXP. These and more will be continued in 2024. And as I close, I want to close on the post, the little time that I have. Our budget also focuses on the postal service sector. The postal service plays a pivotal role in facilitating communication, ensuring the efficient delivery of mail and packages, and promoting postal services across our nation. We have allocated resources for the development and implementation of new services, such as e-commerce logistics and financial inclusion via electronic payment solutions. These initiatives will not only generate additional revenue, but also provide convenient and reliable options for our customers. The Postal Service has provided a wide range of services, such as sale of stamps, parcel post services, delivery of mail and U.S. mailbox service, and can build on its traditional strength. We are embarking on a few things. One is the counter automation software. This software will automate various tasks and processes so that it's no longer manual in the post office. We are also implementing the national addressing system, which is going to be key, such that no longer we will have that the clerk of the house lives on St. Peter's Road, Monkey Hill Road, after the mango tree, take a left by the car with the white fence and the door open with the white car. That won't be her address anymore. It will be, like the developed world, number 33, Dr. Denzel Douglas Road, St. Paul's, and then you have a zip code for St. Paul's, and then the country. In 2024, that will be accomplished. What will happen is we will unveil a listing of all the street names, proposed street names. Every community will have an opportunity to say whether or not they like it, and there will be a mechanism for you to be able to change it and put it in place such that in 2024, we can complete the national addressing system. Madam Speaker, I think I would want to use this final opportunity here to say how pleased I am to be a part of this A-team. We are focused on the work of the people. We have put away, after 2020, opening our eyes, the politics of transactions, the politics of huff and puff, the politics of disingenuous policies only for political gain, and we are focusing on delivering for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. This budget represents a wholesome look at pushing the country forward. It's not just about giving a double salary, as some displaced politicians were suggesting.
Much more than that.
It's much more than that. It is empowering our young people, giving salary increases, increasing our pension, making our GAE workers being able to access pensions for the first time. It was a wholesome budget, and it is my sincere privilege to have been a part of this process. I want to thank those in the gallery who have come to hear the budget presentation. I see my lovely daughters and my extraordinarily beautiful wife who came here, and I thank them so very much, and everybody for being a part of this process. With these few words, not more than 30 minutes over the 90 minutes I've been allocated, may it please you, Madam Speaker.